Welcome back to HPL. We're about to move into our third match here between Zalae and JAB. We've had two great matchups so far, and they've both gone to the full 5 games. I can't wait to see if we get 5 games in the next 2 as well. I want the full 20 tonight.
Yeah, I do too as well. You know, both of these guys have been a little bit aggressive with their strategies coming in here. I don't expect them to slow down at all. You know, they both like to favor mid-range stuff. It's going to be a matter of whether or not Zalae can fit Warrior in at the right time to really punish him for something like that. And, you know, I just don't think it's going to end up happening, but we're going to find out as we get into game number 1 here. Zalae versus JAB.
And look right away we see kind of a mix-up here from JAB.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't seen him play a ton of Rogue in HPL so far, but I like that he's going with this strategy. I think it's got what it takes to put the pressure to Zalae and make sure that he can have the heat turned up. And look at this, boys. We got ourselves a Rogue mirror match. And we don't know exactly what Zalae's verse is going to be. I suspect it's going to be Oil Rogue as well. But we saw Kranich. He played Argent Squire Cold Blood yesterday. I doubt we'll see the Argent Squire Cold Blood out of Zalae here. But, you know, getting into this matchup, it's interesting to see JAB select to play Rogue. I would have to say, with them both playing, I would have to give a little bit of an edge to Zalae. He probably understands the matchup. I think he's probably played it more is what I'm trying to get at. I've watched a lot of JAB matches and some of his stream, and I've actually never seen him play Rogue, but I wouldn't be surprised if he was very good with it. Yeah, curious to see exactly how much he's practiced it. We have a little bit of a client issue here. We'll get Zalae's point of view up as quickly as we can. No Argent Squire on turn 1, though, so I'm very disappointed.
God, you just want to see the craziness after that last match, don't you?
Dagger up, and it looks like he's going to start swinging away here, too. I mean, this is something that you can, tell the way he likes to push for damage. He doesn't have any plays coming in the next couple of turns either, so that, of course, is influencing, I think, exactly how he chooses to take this hand. JAB, he's not going to swing.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting to see. That's actually... I remember when Rogue Mirrors were very big back in the day when there was a lot of Miracle and stuff, there was a big discussion on whether you should attack on turn 2 when you dagger up or just pass. And I think it's very contextual on what the rest of your hand looks like.
Yeah, I remember when I was playing back then, pushing the damage was so important. And the reason it was so important was because you had much more burst than you have available now. You had Leroy Jenkins and Shadow Step, and Leroy sat at 4 mana. So getting in that extra damage oftentimes was the ability to kill your opponent with just Leroy, Shadow Step, and then prep Eviscerate on like turn 6 or something. That's not really the case anymore. So to see him push for damage is very contextual moving forward here.
And JAB is the first one to get on board of the Pilot Shredder here. Now, we've talked about this on the show before about how good it is for Rogue decks. It's their main strategy is to get a minion to stick on the board and to come back onto their turn and start going crazy with it.
Yeah, really looking to punish people who can't deal with what's going on here. And a 3/2 minion is exactly what Zalae wanted to see. He's got a threat on board, and now the onus is on JAB to answer it.
Yeah, and Acidic Swamp Ooze comes out of there. Much better if it would have gone to his hand, and he's actually able to play it here in this matchup, killing a weapon. But yeah, it's just a very clean answer from Zalae there to kill a Piloted Shredder. SI Agent's such an important minion in these matchups.
Really interesting spot here, too, from JAB now. I mean, we just talked about how you don't want to leave a minion on board, but he doesn't have a very effective way to answer this. This is a turn where it looks like he wants to use preparation and sprint to get a ton of options moving forward and hope that he can close the game out from there. But, again, leaving the minion on board is always such a scary proposition. So it looks to me like he is going to go with sprint here. Maybe he'll pick up something like a backstab and be able to handle this, but we're going to have to see what he draws.
Yeah, JAB looking for a backstab.
Anti-Killbot and Earthen Ring Farseer, you don't always see both of those side by side. So, giving a little bit of a nod here to how aggressive Zalae's been. He wants a little bit of extra healing here. But now Zalae has got a fantastic opportunity to really turn up the heat here. This Loatheb is going to prevent any sort of shenanigans from JAB in terms of clearing out this board. And then he's got preparation and Tinker Sharpsword Oil and a sap to go with it. I mean, you're looking at some massive damage potential from Zalae in the next 2 turns.
Yeah, you're looking at what could be a crippling pair of turns here back to back from Zalae. He could play a Loatheb into this turn if he feels inclined to do so, really push for some damage, and the JAB's not going to have a ton of options next turn, and then you can really, really get him with a Sharpsword Oil. Yeah,
he's going to go through every single one of these options and make sure he finds what he believes is the absolute best one for this scenario. I mean, to me, it looks like this is a very distinct Loatheb, but he wants to plan and make sure, because sometimes Rogue gets into these weird situations where, the obvious play isn't always the best one here, but he's going to go with Loatheb, and then once again, JAB has no action here other than to just play minions.
And yeah, you made a really good point there. Sometimes the obvious play isn't always the right one of Rogue. I've had a lot of games where I've done something weird on like turn 3 or 4 and then realized on turn 11 that I lost the game because of that.
Yeah.
Like I should have just re-daggered or something. Sometimes it's such an intricate game.
Sometimes it's as simple as not having attacked on turn 2 with your dagger.
Yeah, it's these people who play Rogue well really understand their matchup. They have put in the time and effort into their games. This deck is very hard to play super efficiently.
Yeah, I would have to say to play it to the maximal effect, probably one of the hardest ones.
Yeah, that's why you see teams like Archon really favor it, because they feel like they get to put in a lot of enough of the time and have enough good coaching behind them to play these decks correctly.
Yeah, Jab really thinking about this antique heal bot here as well. I can't blame him either. I mean, again, spacing down 8 power on board and the potential of a Tinker Sharpsword Oil, that's not a comfortable position to be in.
Yeah, it's a really rough spot, and if Zalae, can he kill him next turn if he picks up Blade Flurry?
I won't be able to kill him with
now,
Blade Flurry. Yeah, I mean, the antique heal bot. Had he picked up Blade Flurry, you're looking at 12, 15. You were looking at 22. Yeah, I mean,
it would have been lethal if he didn't have the antique heal bot yet.
So second preparation, not the strongest draw in the world, but again, he's got more than enough gas to really start getting things rolling here and turning up the heat on Jab. I would suspect that he's never going to sap an antique heal bot.
Yeah, the only time you're ever going to see anything like that is just to enable combo to kill someone. Usually it's the time you're going to see that. But I fully expect Zalae to move in very heavily this turn. It's just, I think he's wondering if he wants to trade his SI7 agent into the antique heal bot and then move forward with Tinker Sharpsword Oil just to make sure that he gets it on the Loatheb and gets to move in a ton of damage and doesn't leave a minion on Jab's side.
Yeah, gonna go ahead and cycle Fan of Knives here too. I like that he's making as much as he can out of this Fan of Knives. Again, just doesn't have a lot of action moving forward. Will get a little bit punished with the sprint pickup here, but I mean, this is gonna be smooth sailing afterwards. He didn't want to use a preparation on the Tinker Sharpsword Oil and float extra mana here, so able to save the second one, make great use of it. I love this play from Zalae right here, really understanding how to allocate his resources perfectly.
Yeah, and he's going to take a little bit of damage here to take care of this antique heal bot, but you can't leave a minion on the board. We've talked about this so many times with Rogue. If you leave minions on the board, that's an easy recipe to get killed in these matchups.
Yeah, Backstab an interesting draw here, because now he's got a couple of options going forward. I love the Blood Mage play here. He's going to be able to play Blood Mage.
Disarray, Backstab, clear the board here, yeah.
The problem with this is that he doesn't get to play Edwin Van Cleef afterwards. I mean, he would love to have preparation to couple with this, but you have to take care of the damage. You just took 11 and your opponent's posturing very heavily. You really have no option other than to kind of relax your turn a little bit and make sure that you get control again.
Yeah, great turn for Jab here, re-establishing initiative in this match, taking care of what Zalae had left over on the board. Zalae was pushing to end this game very quickly here.
Yeah, he's going to have prep sprint to reload though, so you're going to have a lot of options and cards moving forward this turn. It's really going to be a matter of what he can pick up and if he's got the damage to keep pushing through this. And with something like Edwin Van Cleef, very likely he's going to have the damage to do that. But Jab's got a perfect answer for that: Azure Drake plus Eviscerate. So unless there's Backstab picked up here, Jab going to be free to answer this without having to take any damage.
Yeah, both players with sap in their hand as well is a pretty good answer to Evan Van Cleef in this match. Now they both have double sap in their hand, so I doubt we'll see an Edwin ever get in for a ton of damage here, but crazy things happen. People take risks in these matchups sometimes.
Yeah, this has now become a really interesting spot for Jab because he has a chance to turn Blood Mage into a very major threat. Where it's always kind of a threat in these kinds of matchups. The spell damage is so important, but in this position, it's like, how much damage does he actually want to push forward? Does he want to continue trying to fight maybe a little bit of a card advantage battle and stabilize his position? So he's got superior options.
I mean, yeah, he's got an option this turn to just Azure Drake into Eviscerate, and that's like super clean, and it looks really good, and it looks really tempting, but the problem is it opens you up to getting a big Blade Flurry thrown back at you and clearing your board, and that's one thing that you always have to keep in mind in this match is like not only what you can do correct, but how good they can get you back on the way back, because Zalae did just prep sprint. He does have a ton of cards in his hand, and you've got to worry about these huge turns. It looks like that's what Jab's going to end up doing, and it's kind of hard to fault him from here.
Yeah,
he's going to actually sap.
I actually like the sap here still, despite that, because just the extra damage potential in your hand is something that you could very easily need in a position like this. And love that he's holding the dagger here too. He's got Tinker Sharpsword on his hand, so he wants to make sure that he's got a fresh one available to him at any time. He's not always going to have the mana to re-dagger again, so having to take into consideration how he handles future situations is very important on that turn.
Yeah, so you're seeing what actually happens a lot in Rogue matchups here, and it's a lot of jockeying for position, and usually the first person to get a decent position, you can steamroll that into a win, but you saw Jab actually take that back from Zalae here in this game to deny him the early win.
Yeah, so Zalae going to once again consider all of his options. I don't suspect that he's going to sap this Azure Drake anytime soon.
No, he's definitely not going to sap this Azure Drake anytime soon. If anything, he's going to use his dagger to take care of it. There's a chance he might use an Eviscerate, but that's, again, you're giving up a lot of reach here in your match, in this game if you do that. So it's interesting to see if he's going to attack it, do something like Antique Healbot plus Edwin Van Cleef here. A 4/4 Van Cleef, it can be killed by an Eviscerate, but it's not the end of the world if that happens to you from Jab. So there's a ton of options that he can do here.
Yeah, is going to Eviscerate, just wants to handle it straight away. Can't blame him for that. And then the 6-6 Van Cleef again.
I like this play as well. Making your Van Cleef a 6-6 in this matchup is great. You've already seen one sap out of Jab here. And if he didn't have the second one, oh, that's actually pretty big in this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I talked about it a little bit in some of the other matchups. Harrison Jones, such a key card when your opponent is going to play classes that use weapons very frequently, but against players who will mix things up and kind of be a little bit more wild with their strategies, this is a much more dangerous card. Against an opponent like Zalae, though, he's a little bit more predictable, so I love seeing the include here.
Yeah, and I've got to believe that if he's going to play that he might play Harrison Jones this turn, because it's not always the best to wait to play it in the rogue matches. There's a lot of turns where then they use a Tinker Sharpset Oil, they attack and then Blade Flurry, so you never get to catch them with a big weapon. And catching a 4-1 from Zalae's side is actually pretty big. And yeah, he's going to go with the Harrison Jones here, I have to believe.
Yeah, we've seen players wait in the past and try to pick off big weapons, but in this matchup, it's this is effectively gaining him some health here and also pulling the option away for a bigger Blade Flurry. So love that this was included here, and more importantly that he chose to utilize it this turn. And you can see both these guys thinking so much about how they handle these situations. Every single turn is critically important for how they handle future situations in this game. They cannot afford a misstep and to over allocate resources anywhere.
Oh yeah, you're gonna see them take a full amount of time a lot here in this matchup. Yeah, you can see Jab actually rope out this turn, but it doesn't matter. He got everything done that he wanted to. Yeah, he queued up everything that he wanted to.
He's got a major turn available too if this Harrison Jones sticks around. Very surprised that he chose to attack with his weapon here. That tells me that he's possibly anticipating something like Harrison Jones from Zalae even.
Yeah, because he does have a Tinker Sharpshot Oil in his hand. He could have made a huge weapon of 2 charge counters next turn, but he might also be anticipating that Harrison is not going to stay around this turn, that if it dies, he wants to get full value out of his Tinker Sharpshot Oil later. If it's not killing Zalae, then he wants to have a huge turn to combo out with it and do something like that and get value off of a minion instead of just getting an attack this turn. He has to probably believe this Harrison Jones can never live.
Yeah, I mean, but look at Zalae's hand. I mean, he doesn't have a way to cleanly deal with this. He's either going to have to take some major damage on his life total, or he's going to have to sap Harrison Jones.
Yeah, it's sapping Harrison Jones in this matchup when you're rogue. It feels abysmal.
Yeah, it's like sapping a Dr. Boom.
Yeah, it's just the worst. I mean, sometimes you got to do what you got to do, but it just feels so bad. It feels like this play, like I'm making this play to not lose instead of making a play to win. So yeah, he's going to cycle here, and that's actually a pretty decent pickup for him in backstab.
Still has to take damage if he wants to kill this, though.
He still has to take damage if he wants to kill it, as you said, but it looks like he is just going to sap this Harrison Jones, and hopefully he's going to have to be the one to have a minion stick around. That's what they're all hoping for. It's a lot of posturing for position.
Wow, he's even going to dagger up. So he's actually saying
he's going to attack.
Yeah, he's actually saying that if Jab wants to draw cards, he's fine with that because that means he's occupying so much of his mana. Which, I mean, this means that he has a plan of attack.
Does Jab have lethal here
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I count 15 damage.
Yeah, he's a little
16,
short.
He's got 17 damage with the deadly poison.
Yeah, he's got Tinker Sharpset Oil, Deadly Poison, Zalae Deckhand.
Had he not attacked last turn, he actually would have lethal.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was pretty sure, yeah, if he didn't attack last turn, I was about to bring it up, but then, Zalae started playing Azure Drakes and cards were drawn. I was trying to count it all up because there's so much damage going back and forth in these matches, and yeah, it looks like Jab's going to be just a little short here because he can't attack and Blade Flurry.
I'm sorry, he would not have lethal. He needs to have 10 mana to complete.
Oh, he would have 10 mana, not 9? Okay.
So he would have been out of range of it, regardless of which. Mana is a constraint that players have to make sure they can't just do whatever they want.
Yeah, so Jab's going to play an Azure Drake here himself. It's going to be interesting to see how he's going to plan to take care of Zalae's Azure Drake.
I assume he's going to Blade Flurry here. He gets in the extra damage from it, sets up another weapon, and he's got the Zalae Deckhand next turn to deliver some massive burst potential. I mean, in a situation like this, he doesn't even need the second charge on his dagger. I mean, just the fact that he's squeezing an extra damage is threatening Zalae in this position. And so now he's going to have to do something to answer the board. SI7 Agent, a beautiful pickup.
Oh, absolutely. Backstab plus SI7 Agent can take care of this Azure Drake. You know what this feels a lot like to me? This feels a lot like a chess match between two chess masters that are constantly putting each other in check every turn. And they're forced to come out of, they're like every single turn that one of these minions is on the board, you feel like if they get back to their turn with that minion, the other player is dead.
Yeah, I mean, that's what makes Rogue such a powerful choice and why a lot of professionals love to play this deck, is because it puts your opponents to the test. It always forces them to have something to do that can answer your board position or threaten your life total to begin with. But that's where cards like Anti-Keelbot and Blade Flurry can punish people who try to overextend in those positions.
Yeah, Blade Flurry just does such a huge card in most of the matchups. You're already seeing Jab use it to a ton of success here. And yeah, you're going to see an Anti-Keelbot out of Zalae here.
Wow, he's just going to sap the Azure Drake here. Once again, he's saying that Jab is free to occupy his mana with cards like that. He just wants a big Van Cleef.
Yeah, he knows that He knows that this guy, I'm pretty sure he knows that this is actually safe from anything that Jab can play. Lotheb's such an important minion in these matchups. Most of the times when you play Lotheb, it actually just shuts off almost all of your opponent's hand in the rogue.
Yeah, I mean, but now sort of a problem that's happened is that Jab's used a sap in this position, so if that's his second sap. Edwin Van Cleef is free to stick to this board. If Jab wants to kill this, he has to actually invest 8 damage into it.
Yeah, this is not a great spot for Jab. This Van Cleef is going to actually live through this turn. Yeah, I don't see any way that he's here. If he can deal 5 with an Eviscerate, and then it has, you know, I'm trying to find the last 3. He can. There's no way to get his South Sea Deckhand to trade up on this Van Cleef. Yeah, this is a really bad spot for Jab.
He can use South Sea Deckhand, Tinker Sharp Soil, and Eviscerate, but again, you know, you're putting so much damage into an Edwin Van Cleef. Is that the kind of position you want to be in?
It's a position you might have to get through now.
Wow.
What Jab can do, yeah, is to say he could play a Lotheb turn here, play his own big Van Cleef, and hope to God he can't die, and on the way back, he'll be able to kill Zalae.
Yeah, so just building board tension and really putting the pressure on Zalae in this spot. And, you know, he's got sort of the stuff to check this, but this Van Cleef is daunting to deal with at this time. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 damage from Zalae, so not quite enough. You know, if he had a dagger up, this might, you know, he'd be at 15 damage still. He's a little bit short on all of his fronts. So I have to believe in a situation like this that he's going to have to actually kill one of these minions.
Yeah, Zalae put in a situation he didn't want to be in. What a great turn from Jab, getting a 6/6 Van Cleef into play, and Lotheb. Lotheb, as I said, just back-breaking in this matchup.
Yeah, we saw Zalae play it early to create pressure, but Jab was able to weather that storm and then have Lotheb at a very strong timing for him in order to seize back that control. And Zalae just doesn't have the damage in his hand. He cannot leave 11 damage on his opponent's side of the board. I mean, that will spell the end if he chooses to do that.
If Jab gets to keep one of these minions in play, I'm pretty sure this game is over.
Very careful. I mean, one of them, I mean, he's going to have to leave one behind unless he just wants to take a bunch of damage from it. Maybe that's what he's going to do, but...
Yeah, he's going to be able to kill both of these minions. He can run his Van Cleef into the other Van Cleef, run his South Sea Deckhand into Lotheb, use SI Agent, and then take a little bit of damage here. Only taking 5 from Lotheb, which in this situation, in this situation, it's below expectation, though. You really expect to take a ton from Jab here. He has to have a Tinker Sharpset oil.
Oh,
but
wow.
The second one is, I think that's going to be lethal. It's going to be 6, 7,
1, 2, plus
7, 9...
8, 14,
Is it exactly
15,
16?
16. I count 17 damage.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah, I thought it was exactly 16. It is 17.
Yeah, full 10 mana and 17 damage is what Jab's going to be dealing this turn. Second Tinker Sharpset Oil, very good draw. Had he used both of Eviscerates this game already?
I believe he had, yes.
I mean, some excellent stuff from him. Blade Flurry would have been just as brutal as a draw as well. So had a few outs in it, but just the perfect Lotheb timing, able to give Jab complete control over the way this board panned out. He's going to take a 1-0 lead here over Zalae.
And you know what? It's got to be the best feeling in the world for Jab here to win this game 1, not just because he's up 1-0 here in this match, but he just beat Zalae at his own game. That is a big moral boost for you going forward in this match.
Yeah, I mean, the Harrison Jones, I think, making such a big difference in this match, too. But I really like Zalae's game plan of trying to occupy Jab's mana with these 5-mana minions that are just continuing to net him these incremental advantages and hunt for a spot where he can deal that big damage spike. You know, it's something we've seen from him in the past. He's just trying to get these massive points of damage and these small windows of opportunity. He knows where those windows are, and he's trying to create more of them.
Yeah, and you saw him take that early window of opportunity with that really early Lotheb, push through a ton of damage, but Jab was able to recover, survived through, you know, the next like about 9 turns of the game, and then eventually got the win with a huge South Sea Deckhand. So he's up 1-0 here in this match.
Yeah, you can head over to pvplive.net and check out the recap for this game yourself. Some crazy stuff that's going on, how exactly these guys played these rogue strategies, and how they intended to tackle them. Would you have played the same way as Zalae did? I'm not so sure about it, because he certainly made some interesting plays there. But guys, when we come back, we're going to be setting up game 2. Can Zalae tie it up, or is Jab going to take a 2-0 lead? Don't go anywhere. You're watching Hearthstone on PvP Live.